I've been around a long time, in this industry. My passion has always been the martial arts. I've had an incredible career. I've trained in a lot of different arts. I've learned something different from all of them. A lot of action movies in the Philippines and Thailand and the US where we turn up and set and we just do what we do.
See Richard Norton, he can act.
Well, souvenired he would have called it.
He can do comedy.
Real sweet punch.
He can do serious.
That was an unfortunate mistake.
You know the rhythm. The rhythm is for us is a very important. Show the power but doesn't hurt. So this is why I like Richard Norton.
Richard and I have been the best of friends for over 40 years. I can tell you that he isn't only one of the greatest and well-rounded martial artists in history, he is also one of the finest men I have ever known. What he's brought to the martial arts and the entertainment world has helped shape it into what it is today.
I started judo when I was 11 years of age. Got into karate, I think, when I was 15, 16. And that became my life thrust. And I was just so drawn to the idea of this. So off I went. I feel that became my through line for my life, meaning that starting so young, I got to make martial arts my main focus and have everything else fit in around that. For me, it was a matter of fitting everything else into my passion for the martial arts. And I've often said, and I mean it, that everything good in my life has come as a result of that passion, for the martial arts. Movies came again as a result of martial arts. I had no aspirations of getting into movies. It came just quickly from Chuck Norris, Bob Jones, my partner, coming out to Australia, 78. I went to the States in 79 working as a personal bodyguard, as you probably know, for Linda Ronstadt, James Taylor, and of course I called Chuck. We started training. He's ready for the Octagon movie. Knew I could handle Okinawan weapons and everything and asked me if I'd play his main nemesis. And that's what started the whole movie career. I'm totally content with the journey I've had, with the fun I've had, with the people I've met, because I realized that acting or being a movie star was still not the prime aim for me in my life. It was still, movies was a way to make a bit of money, to be able to afford to spend a bit more time in the dojo, a bit more time training. And that's been my life, and absolutely no regrets. When I look back on that, the chance to infect other people with the joy of martial arts, of trying to stay in shape, every aspect that goes with that, I think that kind of really tickled me. And I'd finish that off by saying I met up with James Taylor and we sat in a hotel room a few months ago in Sydney in Australia. For 3 hours we chatted. He basically said, if I hadn't met you, he said, I'd probably be dead now. So I don't look at that as about me. I look at that as that martial arts actually had an influence on his life, meaning just because I did martial arts, that had the effect on someone like James. I thought, how cool is that, As martial artists, every waking day we have a chance to learn something new. I mean, how good is that, providing you have the desire? Where's somebody else to teach me something a little bit differently or something new? So, because I would often say I don't want to be the same martial artist I was 5 years ago. Hence the old saying, always being a student. This idea of being a master, it's like, well, mastery, does that mean you've achieved everything? Where do you go from there? The idea of being a student and keeping bodies in motion, as we call it, always trying to set a new goal. I think that's what it's all about. And thank goodness I'm surrounded by people like Master Boys and Sensei Benio Kides and Chuck Norris, who are great examples of never stopping to set new goals of learning and achievement, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
With the art, hence why it's so important, I believe, in today's MMA world to still train and bow, to show children that us as good fighters will still show respect to each other, humble ourselves. will show, conduct, behavior that's worthy of a so-called martial or a spiritual martial artist. And I think a lot of styles are getting away from that. I would like to think I'm trying to do my bit to bring that in, to still acknowledge that it's not the 2 hours on the mat, it's the 22 hours off the mat that's important. When you don't have a gi, when you're not wearing a big tag that says you're a 10th degree master or anything, then what does it get down to? It gets down to how you behave, how you interact with society. How are you with your wife, with your kids, if you happen to have them, with your friends? So that's what I'd like to be remembered from. The big thing for me is I would like to be remembered as somebody who has principle and integrity and has a sense of honor.